family. It is Tai Chi Tuesday. Let me fix this lens. And we are joining you again from the Bloom Room here in Garberville, California. Interesting, interesting. Sorry about that. We've got to clean the lens here. I think that's a little better. Well, we're getting some stars there, but that's okay. We skipped last week, and that's okay. We're here this week. We're here today, and we're back with another Tai Chi Tuesday, and we are contributing and adding to the mental health framework, understanding, journey, and exploration. In traditional Chinese Gong Fu, we have what's called nature Gong Fu, the Kung Fu of internal vision. Now, this is important because the Chinese delineated the material side and the immaterial side, the yang and the yin, two, but in function they are one. And our own inner life, landscape, and mind and body are our own, and they contribute to and deeply affect our physical life and our physical manifestation. So, the Kung Fu of internal vision is the journey about learning who we are, where we come from, why we're here, and where we want to go, who we want to be in the world, and then what skills, practices, and values we want to live and move forward in our lives to contribute to the world and our community and our family. I personally hold the view that we are in what we could call Earth School, and we are all peers in one cohort where we all are living, learning, laughing, and loving together through many trials and lessons that we are here to learn. It is how we approach the learning process. How do we approach the learning process in life so that we can gain the lessons and gain the skills and don't beat ourselves too much? Don't beat up ourselves too much. So we don't beat up ourselves too much because we we want to use the lessons as a tool for nourishing life and moving forward again to nourish the environment that we contribute to. How do we live and nourish the environment that we contribute to? We can't bring our pain in an unskillful way to a space where we are dumping or unloading or discharging. We have to personally alchemize our own life's struggles and our own internal processes so that we can show up and be our best, whether it be school, work, family, community, the street, what have you. And so the vision of Gong Fu and Qigong is to contribute to the world where you're contributing to peace on the planet. So that's what I hope to do. That's what I hope you uh, desire to contribute to. And then how do we learn our lessons? Don't beat each other up too bad. Don't beat ourselves up too bad, and move forward and learn and try to slowly improve day by day. This is the best that we can hope for. This is how we continue on the path. and um, have an ongoing consciousness about improvement and learning in this earth school, in our earth suits, with these earth lessons, because we are here to contribute in a sacred way with our sacred selves in these sacred vessels. And so it's with that understanding and consciousness that we do our daily personal work. So let's get started. It starts with the material realm in this material body so that we can access the immaterial dimensions and remember our immaterial selves. Let's take a deep breath and start shaking the body. In previous episodes, we talked about how shaking is really good for the nervous system. Scanning, panning from left to right. I'm closing my eyes. And the reason why we close our eyes is to gain more of the introspective feeling, connect more to the felt sense. This is, again, the aspect of Neisha Gong Fu, internal vision. How deep can you feel? How deep can you feel your breath? How deep can you feel your lungs? How deep can you access your emotional body, your psychological state? Articulate it, speak to it, give it words. And then how can you circulate your energy so that you're not carrying your baggage everywhere you go? When you want to show up, you want to show up light, and you want to show up recharged, and you want to show up ready to contribute. And that's how I desire and choose to show up in the world. We'll take a deep breath, feel that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the sacred resistance. We're going to talk about the sacred resistance. If you are not familiar with that, take a look at one of the previous episodes here in this mental health series about sacred resistance. What does sacred resistance mean? What we want to do is take the Western approach of load bearing exercises, weightlifting, and connect that to the Eastern framework and model. What is the role of load? What is the role of weight in the Eastern model? Now, with the Eastern model, we understand that we have 5 domains of regulation: the body, the breath, the mind, the chi, and the spirit. So, what does load look like in those domains? What does weight look like in those domains? What does stress look like in those domains? Follow me here, feet together. We're breathing deeply, feet apart. Feet together and feet apart. Notice how I'm sliding. Bring your attention and your awareness to your feet because you want to stay rooted and grounded. And then also just be conscious and feel the impact of this movement on your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, your hands, your fingers. Because we want to maintain a consciousness of the 3 large powers, the 3 main powers: heaven, earth, and humankind. Feet are connected to the earth, Top of the head's connected to the sky, to the heaven, and then the heart is connected to the humankind, human species. As we've alluded to, we are here in this realm on this planet in somewhat of a school, Earth school. And in this Earth school, we contribute to the lessons to for one another. And so if we could just find a place, find a space where we understand that we're all learning, we can start to move through life a little bit more gracefully and with a little bit more efficiency, right? So if you're someone who looks to uh, feel more energy, be more energized in the world, then you want to take a look at the energy efficiency through which you're moving through your life's lessons. Now, what do I mean by that? The more that you beat yourself up, the more that you get emotional with yourself or with others when these lessons arise, when these lessons come up in school, the less efficient you are in your energy consciousness. And the more that you can allow energy to leak out, and that is your vitality. So if you can have the awareness and the consciousness that you are in an earth school and you're here to learn, you can see each moment as a lesson, not each moment as a loss or a win or instances as a right or as a wrong, but as just lessons. You can assimilate, you can acquire, you can adapt, and you can move forward and live. So I hope that resonates with you. If it does, let me know what you think about that. We're going to move on to try to understand that in life, our stressors inhale, up, out, open, exhale. In life, our stressors become the means by which the lessons are conveyed and transmuted. The heavier things are, the harder things are. The larger the lesson, the bigger the lesson, the more data, the more info. So let's take a look at the squat. What is the role of the squat? What is the benefit of the squat? Is it controlled? Is it forced? And how can we meet it with grace? I want to show you a few items here. This is a medicine ball. This is only 8 pounds, but it allows you to feel load. And remember that load contributes to the amount that you may feel in terms of stress, weight, and hardship, right? So the hardship that we impose onto the body transfers to the hardship we impose on the nervous system, the hardship we impose into the mind, into our emotional body, into our psychological body. So we talked about the role of weight bearing, the role of weightlifting, and connecting the Eastern model to the Western model. So, for example, when we're looking at the squat, are we forcing the squat or are we relaxing to gravity? Because gravity is already bringing us down. Gravity is, if we fully collapse, bringing us to the floor. So if you want to get yourself into a squat and you have knee pain or ankle pain, what have you, how can you relax into the squat? Because once you relax, you become soft. When you're soft, you're malleable, you're pliable, and you're open to the will of gravity and the will of the load or the will of the stress, right? So you could say, as we squat here, we're yielding to the load, we're yielding to the weight, we're yielding to the weight and the load and gravity, and just allowing what I like to call controlled descent. So I'll take a deep breath, inhale, exhale, descending with a bit of control. I'm controlling my balance, and then I'm controlling the speed at which I descend, right? And if you ask someone to go into a squat, right, there's a lot of people who don't like to go into the squat. They don't like to bend down, and that's because it's challenging. It's hard on the legs. It's hard on the joints. If you already have issues, problems there, you're not going to want to stimulate that pain. If you have injuries, if you have traumas, and if you have memories, you're not going to want to go into situations that trigger and stimulate those. But life's going to continue to throw those at you. So, how can you build your resilience to take on the stresses of life, the weight of life? And this is how the Western sense of weightlifting can connect to the Eastern framework of sacred resistance. Because the lessons that come in life, the stress that comes in life, are each of our own sacred lessons, as we are sacred vessels and sacred beings sharing this sacred experience together. If we could come to understand that we are all sharing a collective load of earth lessons in earth school, we'd be a little bit more primed to assist one another, to contribute to one another, give one another a bit more grace, and help one another along the way. Oftentimes, you see people prefer to tear others down, laugh at others, or just pile on when you see someone weak and when you see someone down, kicking them while they're down. You may have experienced this yourself. You may have regrets for doing this also to other people. And what we're looking for is to circulate our energy and find peace so that we can move on, improve, and get better. So we're looking at yielding to and relaxing to the weight that we may feel from a particular instance. How does that weight feel? And how would you like to release it? First, you have to see it, that it is there, and hold space with it, make friends with it, and understand that you are sharing the same space together. Now, we know Tai Chi comes from martial arts practices and training, but Tai Chi Chuan, in contrast to other martial arts, have the consciousness of soul and spirit and liberation and enlightenment because of the Buddhist background and the Taoist background as well. And we know that martial arts originated in the monasteries and they were highly cultivated, a dual path of cultivating martial arts prowess, warrior energy with spiritual cultivation and spiritual pursuit, which translates to morality and it translates to service to life and preserving life. So, martial arts, in my view, belongs in monastic settings. Martial arts belongs in monastic settings because martial arts is a skill and an art of defense to stop the weapon, and life and death often come up, and the container that can hold these deep, profound lessons and experiences is the monastery. So the contemplative practice has to go in tandem, parallel with the defensive skill, improvement, and cultivation, dual cultivation of the spiritual body and the physical body. If you have two dumbbells, you can do this with me. I'm going to borrow a little bit from the High Vibe Kickboxing series, which you can find on my channel, High Vibe Kickboxing. High Vibe, understanding that you're doing kickboxing movements and you're conscious and aware of the spiritual pursuit and the sacred weight of the world and of the suffering. So, in the same way that we yielded to gravity and we yielded to the weight, we're doing the same here. So, we have now a squat in our martial stance, a squat in our defensive stance. So, again, feeling that, releasing that down. If you're just tuning in, we're combining the Western framework of load based training, weight lifting, with the Eastern framework of sacred resistance. In knowing that we are in an earth school and we are in these earth suits to come here to this place, to this realm, and gain these sacred lessons for ourselves, for one another, and for all humankind. And it is true that the amount of weight that we can bear, the amount of weight that we can lift, is connected to the amount of stress that we can psychologically hold. It's connected to the amount of energy that we can um, neutralize, or the amount of energy that we can hold space with. And so when we build resilience through load based practices in the body, we also build resilience in our minds as a result of engaging our will and our spirit. Because in life, we need to have a will to live, the will to go on, move on, learn, and actually continue to show up to life and to the lessons. And we're using today's yielding to squats, yielding to the squat, and yielding to the resistance, yielding to the weight of life to find balance and to find our ability to share space with the weight of the world. that we're feeling. Everybody's feeling it differently, and we have our own experience of feeling the weight of the world. Can we release and yield to it? Can we find a place that we release and yield to it so that we can share space and harmonize? Yielding comes from, yielding energy comes from Tai Chi practice. And it's an energy so that you don't fight force with force, but you're connected to force and you give way. Similar to driving, you give way in awareness, in focus, and in alertness so that you can maintain your survival. If you approach, if you engage with the same force and the same energy, you crash. And so that's why yielding is an energy for life preservation. So it requires listening, which is another Tai Chi term, requires understanding, another Tai Chi term, and energy, and connection, another Tai Chi term, and energy, so that you can yield. When you yield, it's a momentary giving, it's a momentary retreat, if you will. It's a momentary contraction that's yielding so that you can redirect, so that you can take and redirect. An energy that's coming in, you can't influence it in a linear fashion. If you take energy in and blend with it, you can then influence it more easily. And so, this is the nature of yielding to the weight and controlling descent, yielding to gravity and to load and controlling the descent. We talked about coming into the squat, not in a way that we're forcing the knees to bend or the ankles to bend or the body to descend, but we're controlling the descent, maintaining balance, maintaining speed, awareness, and alertness, and controlling the descent. The legs are very important. Why are legs are very important? Because they show us where our foundation is. Our torso sits on our legs, and all of our actions from our arms and our hands come from the ability of our legs to take us from situation to situation. So our legs are our foundation in martial arts. Strong legs are a foundation for endurance and a foundation for power and are a symbol for life. Base, structure, foundation as a symbol for sustained life and living. Hope you've been able to follow that there. We're going to finish here with a little bit of white crane movement, shaking out the wings, inhaling one side, exhaling, circling out, inhaling in, exhaling, circling out. At your own pace. We'll switch now. Inhale, other side. Inhale in and exhale, circle out. Softening the body, pulling in, inhale, feeling coming up the spine into the shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, and finger. Let's try both hands before we finish. Exhale. Inhale, pull in. And exhale, circling out. I'll show you the side view because we're incorporating the spinal wave, the spinal undulation. Inhaling and then up to shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, resetting, relaxing the gravity. We talked about that earlier. Now in the legs, and then coming up the legs through the spine, inhaling out, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands, fingers. You can find more about spinal waving and spinal undulation on my channel. I have a full course. Need to sneeze. So for today, to wrap this up and to summarize, we took a look at the Western framework of weight, resistance, and load, and how we can understand it on the Eastern uh, paradigm. And so, if we look at the body, any weight or resistance that we put on our sacred body can help to build the resilience in our minds, in our hearts, in our psychology for taking on the weight of the world. And so, if you've had the question of does weightlifting contribute to your mental capacity, your mental resilience, your emotional resilience, even your spiritual resilience, yes, weight does affect your ability to exercise your will as your mind's intention to do something. And so in the Eastern framework, we combine the will with, or we attribute will to spirit. We call it yang spirit and yin spirit. Yang spirit is an emotional reaction and spirit like fire. But yin spirit's a little bit more like wood, a slow, gradual 5,000, 8,000 year old redwood tree that grows slowly, steadily, like us in our lives and in this world. So that's going to be it for today. Hope that spoke with you and resonated with you. Stay tuned for more Tai Chi Tuesday and mental health practices and skills and tips and tricks. Until next time, may your chi flow smoothly and remember to embrace the woo. Look in the description. I'm starting my calendar series and my calendar promotion. in making accessible new courses for the new year, so that you can gain these skills, practices, tips, and tricks for your own self improvement and for your own vitality and for your own energetic practice in this Earth School with this program in Yin Yang University. Take care.